Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Back out here in shop working on lathe. It's actually been in real time a couple of weeks since I've had time to work on this thing. I've been on the road the last 2 weeks straight, and basically I had done a bunch of videos ahead of time in anticipation of being out of town. So the lathe's been sitting for a couple of weeks, and I'm anxious to get back in here and get back on this project. So the next thing I think I'm going to work on tackling is getting the front apron on the carriage assembly cleaned up, repainted, gone through, just checked out, whatever. So I had done a little bit of video showing you a little bit about how this works and when we took it apart, but I do want to go ahead now that we've got it off and we can really look at it good, kind of go over some of that again, show you how this works. And the plan of attack is we're going to go ahead and start taking this thing apart. Now, my goal is I need to get basically everything off the front, off of here, so that I can get this properly cleaned up and prepped for painting. So the hand wheels, all the levers and all that. The back side of this, you know, it's kind of got that red paint in here. It's not really a finished painted surface, it's just more of a protection. Probably just gonna leave that as original. No need to really do anything with it. We do want to get in here and get the inside of the case here all cleaned out real well. It's actually not in bad shape, but I do want to make sure it's good and clean. Get it painted and put it all back together. So I don't know that we'll take all the gears and stuff out of the inside. Make that decision when we get there. It really depends on when we start taking this thing apart. If I need to take those out, we will, but I'd rather, I think, leave them in there. There's no reason to take them out. We'll just have to make that call when we get there. So let's get you zoomed in here. Kind of go over this real good. Quite honestly, it's as much for my benefit as it is yours, because I have already discovered working on this machine, I'm referring back to these videos when I go to put this stuff back together. So if I document this well now, it may help me out later, and it'll also give you guys a peek at how this works. Let's get in here and look at it. All right, so here we are looking at the front of the carriage again, and just real quickly go through and show you what all the different controls do. So first off, you know, this is the hand wheel. This is what moves the carriage back and forth on the machine. When this turns, it's turning some gears in here, but the main thing that's happening is on the back. You got this little spur gear here. This engages in a rack. This is the pinion, I guess, actually not a spur gear, pinion gear, but it's engaging in a rack, and basically this is what moves it back and forth. All right, so next thing here, we'll just kind of work our way across. Of course, this is a little oil reservoir. Now, I got a lot of questions in the quick change gearbox about oiling it, and on that, it basically is just gravity feed. There's a little oil reservoir in the top. It's got a felt liner in it. You put oil in it, and it drips down. There's little tubes running to different places in that quick change gearbox to oil things. On this machine, you got a reservoir in the bottom. This is where you fill the reservoir. And there's a hand pump here. And I think I showed this before, but when you pump that, it pumps oil up into the top. If you look here, in fact, let's see if there's any oil in there that will pump. There you, whoops, yeah. So it comes up that hole right there, all over my face and glasses. Hang on. Anyway, I had to do a little cleaning there, but it comes up into this little groove right here. And this, of course, will be sealed off when the top of the compound, or not the compound, but the saddle goes on here, and oil running this groove all the way around here. And there's strategic little holes in here. And let me turn this around. You can see, I think, better on the back. But like, you got little oil lines coming down here in different places, and that basically directs the oil right where it needs to go, where it can get lubrication where it needs. So it's very well designed from that standpoint. So that's the oiler mechanism. So this lever right here engages your feeds on the compound. So either moving the carriage in and out or moving the cross slide in and out. It's going to allow you to do one or the other, and depending on the position of this. And we showed this before. Let me see if I can get you in here and where you can see how this works a little bit better. All right, so get you guys a view looking down here and let you know what's going on. So whenever you engage the feed on the lathe, I'm just turning this by hand, but that center gear there is turning, and right now it's disengaged from anything. But if you look, you got the gear here that's just engaging off the feed, but there's these little gears in the side, and when I move this handle one way or the other, it's going to engage. And when it engages that one, if you look now, it's spinning the hand wheel here. So, and it's spinning this little pinion gear back here on the back. So that is engaging the feed for like regular turning. So that's going to move the whole carriage up and down the ways. Now if I move my lever the other way, get it lined up, that's going to disengage off of the axis going up and down the ways. It's going to engage this gear here, and this gear actually engages into another gear above it that goes into the cross slide, and that will basically, like if you're going to facing off the front of a part. So by moving this one way or the other, you're either going to disengage the feed, engage the feed going up and down the ways, or engage the feed onto the cross slide. So kind of ingenious little mechanism there. And that's basically what's going on inside this gearbox here. And we'll go back to the front now and show you a couple of the other things that is going on this apron. So this lever here is a reversing lever, and what it will do is basically allow you to reverse the feed forward and backwards on the compound. And to illustrate that, again, let's I don't know, hang on a second. All right, to illustrate that, let's again, there's I'm hand turning this gear here. So that feed rod is always going to be turning in the same direction here. And you can see it's turning counterclockwise now. Whenever I move this over to the other position, I'm turning the feed rod in the same direction, but it's reversed this gear here. So that's basically your reversal on your feed. You can do it off of this gear, this lever right here. How it's doing that, you really can't see it, but in the back there's a little part that slides back and forth, and it just engages some gears down the bottom. And to be honest with you, I can't even see it because it's kind of inside of here, and probably not going to tear into it. But this just basically changing some gears to reverse that the direction. I want to show you this reversing mechanism on the feed. I think maybe you can see it, but if you look in there, kind of back down, well, you can't see my finger, but back down in here, there's a bevel gear, or a set of bevel gears, and that bevel gear is feeding that feed gear up above it. And when you slide this back and forth, there's a bevel gear on this side and there's a bevel gear on the other side. So this is where the feed rod is turning, and of course it's turning both of those bevel gears. And when you move this lever on the front, it's sliding that back and forth, and depending on, like I said, there's a bevel gear on either side of that that's engaging into that bull gear back behind it. Anyway, depending on which side it's on, it's going to decide it will reverse that gear, so it'll be on one side or the other, if that makes sense. Not a very good explanation, but maybe you can make sense of that. And the last lever here, this lever here, when you do move it up and down, this controls the half nut. And so when you're doing threading, instead of using the feed rod, you actually have the threading rod. And you will watch your thread dial or whatever. You ever seen us do threading videos on the lathe? There's a thread dial, and you want to engage that dial or engage this carriage at just the right time to make it track down the right thread. And the way you do that is through this half nut, as it's called. And the reason it's called a half nut is when you move this up and down. I'm going to turn it around now. All right, so this is the actual half nut back here in the back, and it's called a half nut because if you look, it's a nut. It's threaded up in here, and that's probably about, what, 2.5 inches long. It's threaded in there to engage your thread rod. Right now, it's moved up where it's not engaged. When you move this lever, it closes that half nut together. That allows it to engage onto that threaded rod that comes across there that's controlling your pitch for your threads. So you can basically come in here and get down on that screw at just the right time. And you adjust the speed of the screw basically using your quick change gearbox for whatever thread pitch you're wanting to thread. So the only time you use this is for threading or when you need to be able to time your cuts and be able to go back into the same grooves and have them properly spaced. For normal feeds, you would just, there's another rod, the feed rod, and of course that's the one that we were just talking about a minute ago. All right, so start tearing this thing down. First thing I'm going to try to do is get this hand wheel off the front. Let's see. It's going to be aggravating. Get enough leverage on this thing. That's not the right size wrench. All right, that's got that loose. Get that off. There's a washer there. See if I can get this hand wheel off without messing it up. There we go. Very good. All right. Next thing I think I'm going to do is take this lever off. There's a tapered pin here on the front. You get a punch. There it goes. See if I can pry this off now with this little pawl here. All right, got that one off. And hopefully this will come on out now. I think I got to move this screw right here. There's something capturing that in there, like a little ball T-tent maybe, I don't know. So I think I need to pull this set screw out. This seems like there's something capturing in there. So there's a set screw going down this way. There's actually a set screw in the side holding that in place. So let me get in here with an Allen wrench and loosen that little set screw out. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take it all the way out for right now. I may put it back in there so I don't lose it. I got more set screws if I need them though. Now let's see if this will screw out. Still being stubborn, let's see. All right, so it's got a little dog ear in the bottom where it's capturing something in there. So now, hopefully, yeah. Whoa. All right, there is a little ball bearing that goes down, okay, in the bottom here. So this little ball bearing has got a couple of detents. So when that goes back together, there's a little spring right here. Probably a little screw on the bottom to adjust that. And got a little piece here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off. That's got a little keyway in it right there. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna have to take this down any farther, but that's a good start. All right, so next thing, tell you what, let me study this a minute. All right, next thing I think I want to do is this oil reservoir has got oil in it, and it's making a mess when I'm turning this thing around or whatever. So I want to go ahead and pull this spout off anyway. So we're going to pull it off, and yeah. I was going to drain the oil out of that, but let's see what we can do here. Tell you what, let me see if I can move the pump out too. I want to get that oil out. There's a little tank down here in the bottom. I may see if I can just drop that whole thing out, then I can clean it real good. But I need to get this pump out, so let me see if I can get that loosened up. All right, this oil pump, looks like there's a couple screws on the bottom kind of holding it in. I'm probably leaking oil right now, but it'll clean up. Look there, there's an oil drain in the bottom. If I just looked, but that's all right, that's gonna come right out. And that's where my hand pump goes down in, and that's where it was leaking out of. I basically just want to get this and wash it out, clean it out real good, make sure there's not any trash in there, and put fresh oil in it. Well, we got that out. I'm not going to try to take that pump out because there's actually, this pump pulls in from the bottom, and then there's a tube that goes up to the top, and it's just going to be aggravating. I think I can work around that. All right, that's good for now on that. Let me clean this oil up. So I got two more handles I want to come out over here. Wow, which way does that pin go in? I'm going to get behind this with a little block of brass. I know that's a big block of brass, but I'm trying to keep from messing up the bottom of that pin. Just to keep from hopefully mushrooming it. Wow. That is in there. Might have to get a bigger hammer. All right, let's do this again. Well, guys, that sucks because I just broke that. So, great. So, back up and punt. That was not the plan. Crap. Well, guys, I'm going to have to tackle this half nut problem. I'm not going to worry about it this moment. There ain't nothing I can do about it right now. It sucks, but that's the way it is. Let's continue on to get this other front lever off. It's actually removed from the back. There's a taper pin here, so hopefully this one will come out. Wow, another one wants to be stubborn here. There is a set screw on the bottom. I don't think that's going to affect anything, but I'll go ahead and remove that before I go any farther. There it goes. All right, hopefully that'll come on out now. All right, yeah, it comes right out. Good deal. And all right, that's going up to this piece here. I don't know if I can get that out easily or not. I'm not worried about it right now. Yeah. All right, that did come out. And we'll just put that aside. So now these half nuts, let's figure out what we got to do to get those apart, because that broken piece, I've got to deal with that now. All right, I've been studying this thing, and I've actually got a parts diagram that shows this thing, but it's just kind of cluttered and not very easy and not very clear how this comes apart. But I'm pretty sure there's a set screw and a piece here, and I'm pretty sure this is somehow tied in with how this comes apart. So we're going to take that off anyway and see where it leads. Let me grab some tools. All right, that's got that screw coming out, or bolt coming out, nut coming out, and I'm all flustered now. Wasn't planning on doing this. All right, let me get a set screw here now, or Allen wrench. Pull that out. So I've been studying this thing, and there's a little, like I said, there's a little detent right here, and it basically, this is my feed gear back here. You can't really see it, but if you look right here, this is that gear moving back and forth that engages that either the cross slide or the main carriage feed. And I looked in the parts catalog. There's actually a little notch in here, and when this thing is in the middle, it allows this little detent. It allows this little detent to ride back. So right there, it's back. And then when it goes forward, it pushes in, or if it goes the other way, it will close. So this can't go up and down. So that's got to be in the center for it to move. But another thing I've got to do, I believe, and I'm going to have to put it down where that detent's shut to do this. There's a nut down here on the bottom that I think, this is all on a dovetail slide. And I believe if we loosen this nut up down here on the bottom, it's going to allow that to actually slide out the bottom, I'm hoping. Okay, that's out. All right, I think I'm making some progress. So once I got this thing around, I had to come in here, and there's a little slide piece in there that rotates, that has some grooves in it that opens and closes these, and I slid it on passed around. I had to come in here with a little pry bar and kind of pry it around, and now I think it's gotten where there's a slot that releases that in. So I think now it's coming up. It's just tight. There we go. All right, that's the top one. And you can see that little mechanism in there now. See, it just had to roll back to where it would release. And now the bottom one, for it to come out, well, I may have to remove this shaft to get it to come out. As long as I got these things apart, the half nuts look pretty darn decent. I mean, they're not bad looking at all. But I may call LeBlond though and just see if I can get some new ones. And since I got it apart, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to make a commitment on that right now. All right, let's see what we got to do to get the bottom one half. What we got to do is we got to get this little dog plate out, because that's the part that's broken, is the stem that goes through this. So let me see what I got to do to take that piece out so that we can get the other half out on the bottom. Making progress. I've been messing with this thing off camera, but I want to show you what I'm doing. So on this end, remember this little piece here slides back and forth. There's the two bevel gears in there. On this end, there was a tapered pin and a set screw that were basically holding that on. I took a set of vice grips. I was able to pull the tapered pin out, unscrewed the set screw that was basically just registering it to keep it from turning, and now this little gear slides off the end. Here we go. So that gear comes off that end, and this comes out the other end. I'm going to go ahead and put these back on just so that I can keep track of it. And again, there's a set screw that goes in right here. The whole purpose of the set screw is just to keep it from spinning. And it'll lock it. It'll keep it from actually going in both directions. And then there's a tapered pin here as well. And anyway, that's how that come apart. Now we can come around over here, and this piece should come off the bottom, and it does. And our dog plate. That is broken. Should come out. So here is my broken piece. That is a casting. It's a solid casting. The shaft goes through here, and basically, because it was a casting, it was brittle. And when I went and got my stupid bigger hammer, note to self, bigger hammers are seldom the right tool to use on something delicate like this, and I knew better than that. I'm paying for it. Anyway, enough said. What am I going to do? I'm going to call LeBlond and see if I can get this part first. If I can't, we can repair that. I can put this in the lathe. We can cut that off, basically drill that out, bore it out, and put a steel shaft back through there. But I'm going to see what my options are. I'm not going to make any call right now as to what we're going to do. But first choice is just going to see if I can get a new part at a reasonable price. If not, this may be a repair. So now look at this. What caused this? And now that I got the part off, I can see up under the bottom, and there's a set screw, and I couldn't see that because it was on the bottom. And I think that this set screw may actually go all the way through to that tapered pin. Well, it doesn't. It's not. So I was thinking that may have been the problem. So I measured this pin, guys. I know you guys are telling me or saying on video, oh, you're driving it the wrong way. I measured. This is the small end. So I'm just going to have to get over here on something and hammer that out. So we're going to try to drive this pin out again. I'm going to put this up. This is a stair number 129 bench block, they call it. And it's for just this, for driving pins and stuff out. So I can lay this up on there. I got a hole in the top, and it should give me a good platform to go on there. I'm going to put a brass block. This is when I need another hand. And man, that pin ought to be coming out easier than that. Wow. So just to confirm, you know, we're measuring on this end about 220 thousandths. You measure down below it, it's about 225. So it's, you know, the taper is going the other way. On this end, it can't get a good measurement. That's about 260. So I'm driving it the right way. There it goes. Wow. That was really in there. Now I need to push that the rest of the way out. There it goes. There it comes. So there's the broken piece. Ha, that sucks. All right, next step here. Well, that took a little more work than we anticipated to get to the point of having this front cover all cleaned up so that we could clean it, the paint. But we're there now, so I'm going to go ahead and take my stripping gel. Again, I'm using Citrus Strip, which is the same stuff we've been using. Throw my top on the floor. And I'm just going to put a nice, generous coat of this stuff on here. And it's got a little paintbrush here. We're just going to put a nice thick coat on. And I'm going to seal this up into a plastic bag. I'm actually going out of town again today for work. I'm going to be gone for a little while. And when I get back home this weekend, this should be ready to pull apart and strip all this old paint off and get it painted. And in the meantime, I am going to be doing some research on my part that we broke. Look at what my options are. Do I buy a new one? Do I repair the one I've got? Repairing it is definitely an option. I would rather not go that route, but if that part's going to either unavailable or they just want too dang much money for it, we may go that route. We'll see. And hopefully in the next video I can give you guys an update on what we decide to do. And that's pretty much all the painted area. I've got me a garbage bag. We're going to seal this stuff up in. I think this stuff works better when you can keep it wet, and it will dry out, at least in my hot shop. So we'll put it in here, and that should keep it good and wet over the next couple of days while I'm gone. All right, we'll be back in a day or two. That'll be a wrap for this episode. Catch you on the next one, and we'll figure out what we're going to do on our broken part and get this thing painted and hopefully back together so we can get it back on the lathe. Thanks for watching. As always, give me a like if you like this video. Leave me a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already. Please subscribe. And we'll be back soon with more on the LeBlond Lathe Restoration. Thanks for watching.